Double L here with Couch Talks. I'm here with James Sanders. He's getting ready to talk about dealing with the stigma of relationships, ladies and gentlemen. So if you guys are out there dealing with any relationships at all, your partners, just tune in tonight, hear from James Sanders, his perspective on how to deal with stigmas in relationships. And no further ado, I need you guys to subscribe to my YouTube channel, my Instagram, my Facebook. I need some comments, some hearts. Give some thumbs up if you agree with something Mr. Sanders says or James says. If you're going through anything that's in this topic, go ahead and feel free to leave it in the comments and we will respond to you guys, But no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and give it over to James Sanders. Here he is. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining Couch Talk with your girl, Shell Double L. It's nice to have you on tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I know so many people want to deal with this relationship, and I think you have a great topic and great insight. You and I kind of talked briefly about some of the things, and it just blew me out the wall or out the way, saying, wow, that's a lot of information to take in, but I'm ready to, take my notes, and those that's out there ready to take their notes as well and take in some of this perspective and things, that you have to share.
Okay. First of all, I want everyone to sit down and really just relax, because today I may piss off some people. I may make people think about some things, but for the most part, I want for everyone to take away something to understand that the misconceptions of relationships that we've been given from childhood on up is it's a fantasy. And the reason why I call it a fantasy is due to the fact that when people sit up and have this fairy tale type relationship in their mind, dealing with the dollhouse and the Barbie and the Ken and things of that magnitude, that's fantasy. Reality is the things that come across when you first meet someone. And this person has this certain hormone that drives you into either a lust or draws you into a reality. And the reality that I'm speaking of is the reality of this is going to be a long journey.
Right.
No relationship is ever smooth.
Okay.
I don't care what you look at. I don't care how you plan it. We all plan a beautiful picket fence, the big house, the nice cars. I don't know where they come with the 2.5 kids. I ain't never cut a kid in half. But
I've heard of that too.
Yeah, the family, you know what I'm saying? So when we all look at and honestly sit back and think about how our grandparents raised our parents and how our parents raised us, and we are now raising children, that is a whole different within itself. It's a whole different reality. It was easy for them back in the days. For us today, we have 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet, to be able to pay our bills.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying? So when we sit up and we talk about how this facade, this fantasy that we have, and how the fantasy guides us, that's when we're lost in the love. Love is, you have different types of love.
Right.
And when you talk about the unconditional love, every person that you ever known that talks about unconditional love, if they ask their mate, and this is going to get a lot of brothers in trouble, but if they ask their mate, what do they love about them? If a person asks you, what do they love, what do you love about me? And they tell you your eyes, your hair, your hands. Well, if I take away the hand, the hair, and the eyes, what do you have? You don't have unconditional love. Now it's based on a condition.
Right.
And condition never exists in reality. So the reality points of it is Love should be unconditional. That means I love you just because. You know, women wants the last bite of something or the first bite of something. But the thing is, nobody should ever give you a concept or reality of love without you loving yourself first.
That's right. You're right.
You see what I'm saying? Because no one can ever love me the way I needs to be loved. They're always going to fall short. That's where expectations come in.
Right.
No expectations, no disappointments. If I don't expect you to love me the way I need to be loved, then guess what? I won't be disappointed when you be human and love me the way you learned how to love.
Right. That is so true.
You see what I'm saying? So when we sit up and think about all this that goes around, just like the woman wants the husband and the children to be this, that, and other, but then when we got in bed with this individual, in the first week or two, we didn't know who that person was.
Right.
We didn't know what that person was striving on. We don't even know what their journey is or where they even came from. So if we sit up and we get in these relationships without taking 45 to 90 days to get to know the person.
That part right there.
45 to 90 days to get to know someone. And I want you to do the most simplest things like walk in the park. Do something that don't cost money so nobody's in this thought that, oh man, I gotta have this money to take this girl out. Or I gotta have this money because he deserves this. No, do something that don't take a whole lot. Y'all can make sandwiches, and go to a park and have the light little picnic. But one thing about it is I want you to communicate.
Right, right.
Communication is the best tool in any relationship. Because if I talk to you for a minute, I'll know where you've been, I know where you are today, and where you want to go in the future.
Right.
Now, women, also, what I want you to understand is this. Men don't have a thing that's called defining relationships. Quit looking for it. You're not going to get it.
Right.
Men do not define relationships. So get that out your head. Defining a relationship is understanding that we're building something in the same way. We're building something that's moving to where we're both meeting our goals. That's where the help me comes in. Now, if we both sitting here and we're in a relationship and you don't tell me I have to tell you that I'm your boyfriend in order for you to understand that I love you, or for me to come out every 15 minutes and tell you I love you.
Right.
No,
right.
that's the fantasy.
Right.
That's what men don't do. We're reality. We're logical thinkers. Everything has to have the puzzles in place. Sex gets boring to a man after 10 days.
That's right.
Then it becomes a chore. He don't want to come home. Why? Because I have to do that chore.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? And the chore is that in order to have a happy home, my wife got to be happy. That's a fantasy. That's a fantasy. Because a happy wife, happy life. No. Stop.
Yeah, I used to hear that. What about happy husband too?
What about us?
What about y'all?
we like our backs, we like our back rubs. We like our feet rubbed. We like to be told that we look nice today, even if it's the same old pair of jeans we work in every day. Baby, your jeans look good on you today. That's a compliment. That's going to make him go to work hard, and understand that he's taking care of a home where he's appreciated. See, that's where a lot of women miss the mark.
But bringing up that we're having those stigmas in place.
Right.
Right.
That's the main.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, you guys. This seemed like he's going out. Can you hear me? Okay, we can't hear you right now. So I don't know if it's a technical issue on your end or is it, can you hear me now? I think I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead. You can continue.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other thing is this. When you have a lot of gadgets in place, that don't mean go buy your husband a brand new Sega Genesis or whatever. You got to excuse me. I'm back in the days. I'm back in the 90s. But the new latest game or gadget, it's not about that.
Right.
The simplest thing for a man is that his woman appreciates him. Show him that you appreciate him, and I guarantee you that he will always show you that he respects and appreciates you.
That's right.
A man that goes to work and earns his keep is a positive individual.
Mm-hmm.
It's called manning up.
Mm-hmm.
It's called being the head of the household. Every woman wants that security. Every woman wants that understanding that when I go to work and he go to work, I know that he's representing me and she's representing him.
Better say it.
But if you don't talk about it, then guess what? Everybody assumes that this is part, but it's not.
Right. Right.
It's not.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a question that was imposed to me about love. And it was imposed about two souls making one body.
Mm-hmm.
I want to deal with that a little bit. The two souls is the two individuals that grew up miles apart,
Mm-hmm.
that met on a happy Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And now y'all come together. Now y'all trying to figure out where do we fit in each other's puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fitting in each other's puzzles is the part where we put down the phones. I don't want to talk to you and you on FaceTime. You see what I'm saying? So it's time to put down the phones and actually get to know the individual without the gadgets.
Right.
And that's another thing that I impose for women and men to try. Put down your gadgets, shut off your gadgets when you come in the house, and actually get to know the individual that's in your house. And I guarantee you that a lot of things that you thought you knew about them, you really didn't know.
Wow. That's true.
Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself.
You guys hear that out
Because
there? It's a challenge for those that are out there, couples. He's saying put those gadgets away. Put the cell phones when you step into the door, you come home, shut off all your gadgets and be in sync and be at that place where you guys can now get to know each other without all the extra, gadgets around, your phones, your iPad, your social medias, TV even, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, even if you sit there and watch the movie together,
Mm-hmm.
you can have a beautiful conversation because you're going to eventually cut that TV off.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? And then the other simplest thing is family day.
Mm-hmm.
Cut the gadget's going to be there when you cut it back on. Cut it off.
That's right.
Spend some hours with just your family.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you may have children. He may have children. Bring them together and introduce them without the gadgets. That way they get to know who each other is and we can function in this because it's not hard. The children's going to mimic the parents.
Mm-hmm.
If the parents are not on one accord, then it's going to be chaos in the house. There should never be a division when making a decision when it involves any child. It's not about my child. It's not about your child. When a child comes in, it's our responsibility because it takes a village to raise a child. That's been a saying for years.
For years.
That's fact. That's fact.
Yeah, I agree,
And the other thing, the other misconception about relationships that I want a lot of men to understand. Your woman don't know you. Understand that. She don't know you. She's not your mother. She's not that past girlfriend 4, 5 years ago.
Right.
You're coming into a new relationship. So all that baggage, you make sure you clean your suitcase out before you come into this new relationship. And it's the same thing with women. Just because that guy before cheated on you, don't mean that the man you got today don't cheat on you.
You better preach then.
You got to take time to know him to see if he's the kind of person that you can see yourself with on longevity.
Right. That is true.
You see what I'm saying?
That's so true.
When we as human beings know ourselves and respect ourselves, I don't have to tell you that I'm a man and to respect me.
That's right.
You're automatically gonna respect me because I carry myself in a respectful manner. It's not hard to tell a woman, excuse me, ma'am, or excuse me, miss. If she's young, excuse me, miss. If she's older, excuse me, ma'am. That don't hurt me. Matter of fact, it makes me feel better because I am addressing a queen that have nurtured this world.
That's right.
Now, the same thing with you women. If you respect yourself, I can't disrespect you.
Wow, that's powerful right there. That is so true. I like that.
If you constantly, you can have fun, but respect yourself so no one else have a reason to disrespect you. It's the most beautiful thing in life is respect and love of self. Then that'll be easy for others to respect and love you. When you sit and you take a moment to breathe, I'm not saying that in a relationship we have to do everything together because I might like baseball and you like art.
Right. Okay.
Every once in a while I may go with you to look at an art, but don't expect me to go all the time. That's not what I like.
Right.
I'm trying to learn what makes you tick.
Right.
If that's your hobby, that's what you like, then that's what makes you tick.
Right. And I think that goes with some of the stigmas because, you know, I've heard men or women say, well, she needs to go with me or he needs to go where I go. You know, that's a stigma too, right? Just already knowing that, you know, like you said, a person can go a few times, but don't have to go every single time or even have to be interested. It's just meeting the need or whatever the case may be. So if you like basketball and like art, yeah, I don't expect you. Well, I shouldn't expect you, but some women and some stigmas out there that people have is that he needs to go with me every time I go to the art gallery. And then the other stigma is, well, I need to go with him every time he goes to the baseball or to the Clipper game or whatever the case may be.
That's called low self-esteem. That's called insecurity. If I have to watch you,
right,
because you're not really enjoying it, you watching what I do.
Right.
I'm watching what you do. That's not a relationship. That's prison.
That's true.
I got 26 years of that, so I know. That is called prison. You don't want to get caught in a job in a relationship.
Right.
You don't want this to become, again, a chore in this relationship. And you don't want it to get abusive because eventually it's going to get abusive because now entitlement comes in.
Right. Right.
And you're not entitled to somebody else's life.
That is right up my alley. Yeah, that is so true. That's right up my alley. And I totally agree because this is see, you know, and not to throw you off the subject, and I know you have the floor just to, just to interject this, but I've always thought I don't really do the boyfriend and girlfriend thing or the man and woman thing. I just want to do the building thing, meaning that if you invite me to your barbecue, I'm just coming because you invited me. Don't mean, quote unquote, I'm your girl. I mean, you know what I mean? Let's just because I need to know who you are. I need to get, like you said, past that 45, 90 days, you know what I mean, of knowing who this individual is. I will never know an individual if I'm already tagging you the first month or the first 2 weeks. Oh, this is my boo. Well, boo gonna kind of play the little props and decorations for that duration, and I'm really not going to get the true essence of who he is, and you're never going to get the true essence of who she is. But if she's just your friend and she's just coming around because you invited her, she can see you in your element. She can see,
Right.
you know, how you cook, how you laugh, how you play
Right.
with your friends, or how you talk to your female
Right.
friends, how are you around your family, how you cook, you know, how you handle things up under stress. These things that people, when you're friends, I can see these things, you know, discern or pick up these things. But if I'm your girl, you're going to always be in a position to want to please me or make me happy or do the things that I like. And I actually don't want that. I just want you to be you. I be me. And if it agrees, then we connect. If it don't agree, guess what? We're still friends to this day. It don't put a damper on anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I agree
also,
that, you know, I agree that you have to know somebody for 45 to 90 days and not play these roles, because a lot of people be playing roles. And then
that's what they call it, fishing.
yeah, or Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde come out later on.
Right.
And we've all seen that from male, and we've seen it from female. Like, what happened? You know, you was cool for the last 6 months. All of a sudden, 8 months, you done turned into Corilla DeVille or something. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, he didn't turn.
Right.
He been who he been the
right.
whole time.
The whole
You
time.
fascinated behind the swing of the swing and the swung of the swung. So guess what? You lived in fantasy when he was living in reality.
There you go. That part.
So don't get mad when your heart get broken. When he gets tired of playing with the toy.
That's right. That's right. That's true.
What? Even the Cookie Monster got tired of a chocolate chip cookie.
And he got sick. And he got sick too.
Yeah. So when we sit up, and this is something for, especially for young ladies. When a young lady sits up and thinks about her worth, her worth should be more than gold.
Yeah, you would think.
Her worth should be godly, not just gappy.
Ouch. For all those, yeah, ouch.
You know, you got them legs open, that's what you get. If you think about yourself as worth pearls, like a young lady should always have a string of pearls.
That's right.
That's a sign of a lady, not of a woman. So if the young lady respects herself and gets her education and treats herself like she's that precious jewel that she was when she was born, then she'll respect that man that thinks that he's a precious jewel when he was born.
Right.
See, men don't know how to be that tender person, because we was always taught when you fall, dust his knees off, you all right, boy, get out there, go play.
Don't cry. I don't want to see you crying. Crying, yeah. You're a sissy. That's what we hear.
When the reality is, when you teach a young man about an emotion.
Right.
Now you're teaching him the human side of being a man. You see what I'm saying? So when we take time to nurture not just the young women, but the young men, then we create communities that's worth something.
Right.
We create our next Barack Obamas. We create our next Martin Luther Kings. We create our next Malcolm X's, because we understand what it takes to have an emotion.
Right.
And how to control it.
Right.
See, to have the emotion and not control it is one thing.
Right.
To have the emotion and be able to check it and control it, that brings about discipline.
Right.
That respect again.
There you go. Now, what about some of the people that are viewing right now that are in relationships right now, and they're asking questions like, how do I deal with stigma, meaning that they're with a male or female and they have all these things that you pretty much talked about, just that white picket fence, the 2.5 children, the relationship going smooth, all these things that we kind of cloud our minds up with, that we foreshadow or foresee before actually getting, putting them gloves on and really getting down to the nitty gritty of knowing who somebody is. How would talking to the audience right now, how would you deal with somebody that have a stigma? May that be a male says, all women should, stay at home, or, then women say, well, all men need to da 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 da. Those type of stigmas. How would somebody that's in a relationship that's dealing with somebody, either male or female, or even same-sex partners, or whatever the case may be, are dealing with that right now, are dealing with stigmas in their relationships right now? Like, what do they do? You know what I mean? How would they either communicate to their significant other? How would they communicate to their partners? Or how can they shed away that stigmas that they put on each other?
First of all, they need to sit down and talk.
Mm-hmm.
They need to communicate, because a lot of times when you're in a relationship,
mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, if you sit down and talk, you didn't know something about that person
mm-hmm.
that you've been missing. It could be a 5-10 year relationship. And also to leave and go understand that you're in a relationship with a human being. You're not in a relationship with a pet. The next thing is, and this is what I've told my son, I told my daughters, I have a daughter in the same sex relationship, that
mm-hmm.
they need to sit down and each of them take a sheet of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And you write down what your expectations are in this individual, what you want to accomplish in your life, and what you want to accomplish with that other individual. And have the same thing wrote out for your significant other. And then y'all can look and compare notes and say, okay, this is our short-term goal. Our short-term goal is the next 5 years. Long-term goal is something that, like a vacation for the family, not just two of y'all.
Right.
For the family.
But yes, I see. Yes.
See what I'm getting at? Because you're already in the marriage. You're already in the relationship.
Right.
So quit looking for him to say, baby, you my boo, because you can be boo-booed out the door.
There you go. That's why I don't do westernized society dating. I just don't agree with it. Don't like boy meets girl, girl get boy number, and this whole thing that plays out. It has to be, and like you said, you talked about how our grandparents raised us. They didn't have the tools. They didn't understand, raising us. You know what I mean? So it's like, who has actually been taught and raised the correct way? It's all been trial and error, from our grandparents, our great grands, stuff like that. You know what I mean? But that's the reason why Couch Talks is here. This is the reason why you and I are sitting here, so we can move away from these stigmas and get out of that all men are this and all women are that. I just got tired of hearing it, because I feel like on the worst day of a man doing anything, and I'm not going to say all men are great and all women are great. No, there are some people out there that like to sleep around and consider hoes. And there are some women that's classy and like to keep it, copacetic. There are men out there that does, particular things, sleep around and they consider them being dogs. And then there are some great men out there that says, no, I don't even want to sleep around. I want to stay to my one and take care of my family, or whatever the case may be. I just want to be able to come, on this platform and be able to, hear from people's perspective, because a lot of times we don't hear each other or don't even communicate on this level to even receive. You know what I mean?
Well, this is another thing. And you hit the nail on the head, because you said we don't hear each other.
Right.
If my significant other is talking, and I'm thinking about, man, I got to go out there, I got to fix a water pump on the car, I got to change the tire, I got to do this. You still yapping? That's not hearing my significant other.
Right.
I'm not going to think, and she's the same thing. She might be thinking about, okay, I'm going to cook roast tonight, or a steak tonight, and he's still complaining. So I have to give him a little something so he can shut up. No, no, stop, stop. It don't work like that.
That part.
When you communicate, and this is the best tool in the world, take two chairs and face each other. And first introduce each other. Introduce yourself to your partner. And then y'all just talk casually. Then you'll notice casual gets a little more serious and it gets a little deeper. For men, don't be scared to open up to your woman. You're gonna do it in the bed anyway. Pillow talk got a lot of dudes convicted. So you're gonna talk anyway. So why not talk out the bedroom?
Right.
Women, don't think that he's gonna answer all your questions because you only get 10 or 5. How many y'all stipulate is how many is that's the rules. Stipulate how many questions you're gonna ask.
Right.
You spend 3-4 hours talking. And don't think that he's gonna have a whole lot of words either. Because men are taught to be seen and not heard. Women have all the words. That's why women tend to speak more. Men call it rattling. But you guys are expressing opinions, feelings, and ideas when he has them, but then he don't want to seem like a punk. You got to let him know that wherever you are talking, that he's safe to speak what he feels, what he thinks, and how he wants to move with the family.
And that's interesting that you said that because I've only seen maybe out of, I'm 46 and, I'm single, never been married, never lived with a man, but I've seen what you're describing right now when you have couples together and out of respect, they kind of listen to each other. You know what I mean? And, and even when you said, when communicating, put the two chairs, face the two chairs, I've been to the prison system and I've visited people in that arena. And I actually said to myself, I don't want it to look like that, but I do want to implement a place in the home where it's kind of like that, where there's not a lot of physical touch. As you know, that you can't do that in the visiting room. It's only holding hands and really just communicating and talking and staring in each other's eyes. I actually like that concept because once you get into the play of all the other stuff, you kind of move away from the whole purpose of you kind of talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree to that, but I think that's a good element.
That's perfect. That's perfect. That is perfectly stated of what I was getting out, because you 40, I'm 55. I done had my trials and errors, quite a few. And the most common denominator in every relationship is what? Me. I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to deal with it. I always thought that throwing a little money at somebody, she was comfortable. She was okay. What do you want to complain about? You got a car, you got a house, your bills paid, this, that. But it's more than that.
Right, right.
And she says, well, when you come here, ain't your food cooked, ain't your clothes washed? It's more than that.
Right.
It's more to it than that. That's just groundwork.
Yeah.
That's automatic.
Right.
That's something that I shouldn't have to feel like you're gonna throw in my face in an argument. And that is the most roughest thing in the world, is the argument part or disagreement.
Right. And we actually had another topic right before, I actually, my friend, Miss Danielle Atkins came on and she talked about, developing empathy, how to develop empathy. And she really broke down empathy and sympathy. And I would like you to watch that too as well. And she's going to come on, she has like maybe some other topics she's going to come on with, but it was things that just tools and things that she gave the audience that can really help them develop better and understand the two are different. And it's just like you said, it's like we have to take that time to get to know people. And sometimes when you have that physical touch, it kind of throws the essence off of why you're coming together. May that be disagreement or argument or something she didn't like or he didn't like. But if you can come into that state of mind of, that visiting room, and that's what I actually want to call it, a visiting room, where you only can hold hands and look in each other's eyes, and that's just it, and be able to talk and communicate for that duration until you guys come to a common ground where it's not he's right, I'm wrong, or she's right and he's wrong. It shouldn't even be that in an argument, because that's the whole point. That's the reason why it's an argument, because everybody want to point to the bad guy, and I'm the one, and he's hurting me, and she's, we don't need none of that. And you prefer, yeah.
If you sit and I'm pointing at you, how many fingers pointing at me?
Right.
So that means that I'm double or triple wrong when I tell you wrong for voicing your opinion.
Yeah, I can see that.
You see what I'm saying? So if we sit up and we stop using negative fight words. See, that's the thing. We don't fight fair. We fight ugly.
Yeah, and say ugly things and do ugly things.
And then guess what? When we make up, I can't take back ugliness that I threw out there.
That's right.
You can't throw out ugliness you threw out there. So
right.
Now we both sleeping with the enemy. Because you don't know if she's gonna wake up in the middle of the night and think about something you said.
What you said.
Or she wake up from a deep sleep and he's gone. We don't want that.
Right. Another question I had was, how does stigma affect people who are in relation? Like, how would that affect them? Like, what are some of the signs, I guess, or things that somebody can notice that they can see that this is actually starting to take a toll on their relationship or with their partner? What are some of the things that we need to look at? Like, how does that affect people? If I was in a relationship and I had all these stigmas for men, how would that affect the man and myself? Or how would that, if a man had stigmas on a certain particular woman and had all these stigmas, how would that affect the individual? You know what I mean?
Well, first of all, you understand, because it's attitudes all the time. Attitude means that a person, as a man, I don't want to be here. So I'll pick fights.
Right. Wow.
Pick arguments, which will give me the chance to leave when you don't want me to leave. You're not going to let me leave. And vice versa. Anytime that a woman sits up and on her way home, she has to take a deep breath and say, damn, I got to deal with this fool. That's when you know it's time that it's over.
Wow.
Either that, and I don't say over is the first choice.
Right.
My first choice is, look here, we need to talk. Because right now, we in a turbulence. You know how the plane going to turbulence and these air pockets? We in turbulence right now. And either we're gonna float down and be in the Hudson River, or we're gonna fly above the clouds in the smooth sailing. You see what I'm saying? So when a person sits up and thinks about how the stigma of a relationship is supposed to direct their relationship, then what are you doing? You might as well tie it on a dog and have a dog run around the yard.
Oh, that's
because
true.
Now you done gave it a big facade. You done gave it you done put your relationship in the hands of an idiot.
Right.
When you sit up in your stigma about the relationship and you feel as though coming home to be with this woman is a chore, is something that you don't want to do, you're not happy when you're there, the person that you're looking at, you don't feel connected. Without the sex, then it's time to talk. And if you can't resolve it through talking, then be friends and make a peaceful
departure.
That's my advice.
That is so true, and I give claps to that, for real. And people, there's some people
Yeah,
out there that don't, there's people out there, men and women, that are doing exactly what you say, James. They're coming home, they're unhappy, unsatisfied, exhaling, as the movie we saw. Oh, I gotta go here, I gotta deal with her, I gotta deal with him, oh, I gotta deal with the kids. Oh, and they're complaining and murmuring. But right now, you're giving people tools and you're giving insight on how to depart on a common ground without being enemies, or saying all these negative things that you can't never take back, or just doing things that is going to put you either incarcerated or get you locked up, male or female, or even hurt somebody. You know what I mean? We have to be a little bit more mature when it comes to how we were raised. Mm-hmm.
And when you have children, guess who's the one that's most affected? The child. Because the child becomes a grown-up and say, why don't y'all just go in y'all corner? Y'all need to break up. Y'all, Dad, you need to leave. Or Mom, you need a timeout. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? It's the child that becomes the adult. And that's unfair. That's unfair to any child. Whether he or she 5 years old or 18, it's unfair. And don't be there for a child, because being there for a child is nothing but making you miserable.
Right.
You co-parent from 2 homes. I did it. And none of my children have ever been to prison, and they all happy.
Wow. Tips up
They're
for you.
all happy. So I commend their mothers. I had some help in it, but I commend their mothers, because their mothers, we talk. We may not be able to get along little doggy with each other about our relationship, but when it comes to my children, we're all in this together. My child can't come to me and say something and then go and say something to the mama, to try to, win favors from. No, we're going to come together and talk, because we're co-parents.
That's right.
That's where that co-parent comes in.
Right.
And it's a beautiful thing to be able to have 2 homes with 1 rule. You can't have rules in this house. They would run willy-nilly, and mama's trying to hold structure. Or daddy's trying to hold structure, and mama's letting them go willy, because, that's just your daddy. You ain't got to do. No.
Right.
That's not fair.
Right.
That's not fair to the child.
Right. And a lot of
stigma.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was going to say a lot of our community, people that's in our community, they do that, quote unquote. They allow the child to either cause a wedge because nobody's on one accord. And it's funny, because one thing I've always told my daughter, like you said, with the husband and wife, I always told my daughter since she was 5, I said, if you leave this house, you represent me. If I leave this house, I represent you. When we both leave this house, we represent God. At the end of the day, we need to please him. You know what I mean? And the same thing, I didn't allow my daughter to go around a lot of people, because if you're not on, there's only, like you said, there's only 1 rule. This is the rule for my daughter. Only thing you have to do is pony back. And out of respect for people that I've been around, if you don't want ponytails and the hair braided, they not getting ponytails and hair braided. Because that's what your mom and daddy said. I'm on the same thing that they agree on, because that's what you need to do. If you got all these sets of rules, that's why the kids are confused now. And, they going through situations now because nobody's coming on a common ground and just saying, no, this is what Daddy James said. This is what Mama Sherelle said. And that's the end of the story. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Well, see, you gotta remember this too. Your daughter is how old?
My daughter's 24.
How old is your daughter?
24.
Okay. Now, as a 24-year-old, one thing for certain and 2 things for sure, she knows you got her back. Now, the thing is, when she come to you as a confidant, you're not to put her down. You're not to tell her how to think. You give her multiple things to think about and let her make her choice as an adult, and respect her choices. Right. If she fall, you catch her. That's why we got 2 hands. When she fall, you catch her. And you pick her up and you dust her little dress off and say, baby, let's try this again.
That's right.
It's not for you to judge her.
That's right.
And
For
the
no
same
one,
thing
yeah.
in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a judge in a relationship. You're not the police in a
Right.
relationship.
Or the investigator.
You're not the jury in the relationship. Or the investigator, or the DA. You are that person's, what I call soulmate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We meet together to create something beautiful. That's a soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
That's what God commanded.
Right.
So if we take time to understand what the union of two souls, and you said it, two souls in a one body.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about that. What it's called is called a soul mate. You're never my soul mate.
Right.
You and I, we talked about this before, about the soul mate and the soul meet.
Mm-hmm.
Soul mate, I only mate with Allah, which is God. That's my soul mate. My soul meet, the person that's my significant other, to help me meet my obligations to God. That's it.
Right. Right.
And if we keep that first in the house, we can never go wrong.
Right. Is there anything that you can share right now to any, like I said, partners or couples that's out there that have been, or like, what would be your suggestion, even for young people that are watching age 18, you know, that has to have this mindset of, you know, when I grow up, ... You know what I mean? What can you share with them, you know, being young adults that's going into these relationships further on, like, you know, either at 18 or 20s or 30s? What are some of the things you can let them know before we close out, just about the stigma of what we conjure up, you know, in our minds and our thoughts as kids, as what we've seen, what we see on TV, because a lot of TV has a lot to play with that too. You know, you see the families together. You know, a lot of people get stuck when you see dad over here, mom over here, but reality is everybody's not going to always stay together. That's the ultimate goal, is to make it work. And I don't mean to bring out a culture or just a particular people, but there are some Caucasians that I have seen for the sake of the children. You know, if I'm married in the home, we got 3 kids, they will remain in the home, still, you know, cordial, you know, just for the sake of the kids, so they can stay in school, keep their mindset, but still kind of have their own relationships outside the home. You know what I mean? I've seen that at a particular cultures. I don't really see that in our culture. You know, once we gone, you go into court, taking the kids or whatever, we go through all this drama. But I just think it needs to be at a more mature level, because as you said before, when you're dealing with kids, they discern, they pick up, they mimic, they absorb so much around us, you know what I mean? And if you can just share anything, you know, before we end this segment, because you're going to be on with 2 more topics that you guys do not want to miss these next topics, because this is a whole lot of meat. This ain't no salad he talking about. It's a meat. No.
We get into the meat and potatoes.
Getting the meat and potatoes with it, you know what I mean? Because we need to know, you know, we need to know what to look for, what to see, what to get out of fairy tale land. You know, a lot of us have these fantasies and stuff, and you know, it's not about fantasy. And then there was another topic that I had Corey and Haley on, and I like something that Haley says. She says a lot of people plan for the marriage, meaning you get your dress, pick your cake, the colors, who gonna come, the table, you're doing all this stuff. But she said, who's actually planning for the marriage? So I want to put a little spin on it. I want to put a little spin on it. If I do happen to, you know, be engaged and I get married, I don't even want to worry about the dress, the cake, and the people. Let's plan for the marriage first. Let's plan for the burial. Let's plan for what kind of money we're going to save in the next 5-10 years. What happens if I lose a breast? What happens if you lose a leg? Let's plan for that first.
Well,
then
see,
we can talk about the dress and cake later on, because I can buy a dress any day and I can make my own cake. I mean, you know what I mean?
Right,
you know,
right. I'm going to tell you something. I had a buddy. I had 2 people, and I want to show the youngsters this. I had a buddy that went to college, married his college sweetheart, had a beautiful daughter. They bought life insurance. They planned their life out, and they broke up right after they graduated.
Wow.
My other buddy graduated college, met a lady afterwards in the same profession, but they had two different hobbies. They respected each other. Their children, they invested in their children's hobbies, did them together as a family, but they still had their own individuality. They're still together after 20 semi years. And what they taught me was this: young people, it's not the end of the world. You're gonna meet people, you're gonna say bye. Some are gonna be memorable. Some you're gonna wanna not even think about. Live your life, respect yourself, and write your plans. Not with the husband.
Right.
Everybody wants to marry Neo. Everybody wants to marry all these football players and all. But the reality is, we're just blue collar people, even with college degrees.
That's true.
So the world is not going to end. Pick yourself up, respect yourself, treat yourself as respectful. If a man pulls up to your house, this for the young ladies, and blow the horn, you cut your light out and go to bed. When he call you, say, hookers don't live here.
That
don't
part.
blow no horn in front of my house. It's not a whore.
That ass.
For the young men, if you can't get out the car, walk up to a young lady's door, ring the doorbell, and open her door when she get in the car, you don't deserve that jewel that God gave you. Respect yourself, and they'll respect you.
That's right.
The other thing is, have your savings for you in case of emergency. He put away some money for him in case of emergency. And that, guess what? That was the first big plan that y'all ever did, and it was the safest plan.
And that's planning for a marriage right there. You know what I mean? That's planning for a marriage, because you got your savings, I got mine. You know, you got your home, I might have mine, or condo, or whatever. But you're planning ahead, meaning that you guys are both on not on the same level, but you know what I mean? Like,
you're respecting each other's space.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And you're coming with something. You're not just coming with all your debt. You're not just coming like, well, how are we gonna figure this out? Well, let me check your plan out, because your plan say ... Oh, Sherelle, well, I see your plan line up with two of my plans. I mean, you know what I mean? And then we can coincide with that. But if my plan say, you know, we going to the moon, and you over here like, well, I don't even know, I don't even want to go to space. I mean, then you can tell by the plan. You ain't even got to go through the engagement. You ain't got to go through the props and decorations, because I can see right here, it ain't gonna work, bro. Your plan ain't lining up with my plan. No, but we best friends, though. You see what I'm saying?
And do not, this is another thing I tell people, do not put aside who you are and what you believe in to comfort anybody.
Man, that's a whole, you might have to have a fourth topic, because that's a whole nother subject. For real. That should be your fourth topic, because everybody's doing that right now. Everybody putting themselves to the side and allowing them not to be who they are. You know what I mean? They're trying to settle, or they're trying to say, well, let me please the other person. But by the time 2-3 years after you don't please this person, they still have to know and what you done did. I mean, you know what I mean? So I think that's a whole nother topic that you need to touch on after the other two topics left, because they need to hear from that, for real. Because a lot of people do that. I'm telling you.
Because I got a friend that I tell all the time. I said, she always come to me crying about it. She's pregnant. And Oh, he treats me like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not important in his world. This, that, this, that. And I asked him, I said, who taught him that?
Hmm.
Who taught him how to treat you?
Right.
You did. See, you teach a person how to treat you as long as you accept
Powerful.
everything they give
Y'all,
you.
y'all better catch on. Y'all better be writing down some notes because this is gonna help a lot of us out, women and men. How
Yeah.
women treat you, men, women.
Man,
He hit, man. If I had a hammer, I'd be hammering some nails right now. I tell
I'm
you
gonna
that.
tell you, if I'm in a relationship and my woman treats me like I'm subservient, how you think that relationship's gonna work? My
That
name is
part.
Butler James. It's not Mr. James. And
Right.
then when you walk in, if a woman introduce herself and say, "Oh, this is my boyfriend," don't your boyfriend got a name?
That part.
You didn't even respect him.
Wow.
So that just shows right there that the relationship goes nowhere. It's not going to ever go nowhere.
Right.
Because you didn't respect him enough to say, oh, I'm here and I want to introduce, this is my date for the evening, this is James. Or this is my date for the evening, this is Miss Terrell. That's respect.
That's right. That's right.
That's respect. That's not stepping on somebody like he's your mate or he just, and the same thing go with the female.
That's right. Yeah.
If a man introduce you as my girlfriend, he don't respect you.
Yeah, you ain't gotta tell me.
Because guess what? My girlfriend was born with a name. Check her birth certificate. Check her social security card.
That part.
She has a name. So all of y'all that's looking to get in a relationship, actually sit back and look and think about what he classifies you as when you around his friends or his family. And you'll know how your relationship go in.
Right. Well, I really appreciate, I mean, I'm taking lots, I'm taking copious notes here. Because one thing about me, and as I said, and it's not to, to say anything because I'm single and I've never been married and never lived with a man. It's because I'm willing to sit and be taught and hear and glean as much as I can, because not saying I'm perfect, but I want to be the best of the best for whomever's going to be in my life. And I'm not saying perfect, but I expect that person to do the same for me too, because I wouldn't want none of my friends to settle. I wouldn't want you to settle. I wouldn't want my friends to settle. I want somebody that's going to respect them, love them, take care of them, provide for them, go in the trench for them. You know what I mean? Just to be there, not just to be there for other stuff or other things, you know what I mean? So my thing is, I want to learn as much as I can, because it's very clear some that will leave this planet will be married, some will be single, and some will be widowed. And that's just, it is what it is, And, I pray not that I'm not part of the widowed. I pray not that I'm not part of the single. I pray that I can, encounter some type of relationship and partnership with somebody and build, and is so content and is so profound, and there's a lot of communication flowing as you've given certain tools of putting the chairs together and just talking and communicating, putting the devices away, you know what I mean, making sure that we're not fantasizing any more stigmas, because fantasies do die out. I mean, we do not see horses flying, and that's what we pretty much want to see in relationships. We want to see the rainbow and the unicorns and the relationships, and it's not going to be what it is. You're not going to see the white picket fence. I have a brown one. The fence might be a little broken, but y'all got to go out there and fix it and repair it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is what it is. So I know I've learned a lot from tonight. I know others that's out there watching. James Sanders, he's giving you guys a lot of stuff to think about. And we're not saying get out of the relationship. We're saying take some of what he's sharing with you and utilize some of that communication, utilize some of the things, techniques, or just get out of those stigmas. Really sit down and talk about, well, do we have stigmas? Like, do I really think men, or this should be this way? Like, really talk about that, and just let it be that open communication for you guys. So that's just all I have to say. I'll let James have the last few words on this, and we'll call it a day, because I'm like over here like, oh my gosh.
Well, I want to say thank you to your listeners, your viewers, and also understand that if you ever really know me and understand, I don't give men a break and I don't give women a break, because we all we all have our downfalls.
That's
and
right.
I'm not perfect, but I learned from mine. So that's how I'm able to be open and speak truthfully and honestly, and just be honest.
Right.
Just be honest and respect each other. And I guarantee you that that fake unicorn you bought in a toy store gonna remain in the toy store.
In the toy store. That part.
And I thank you, and I thank you, Sherelle, for your time, for allowing me to speak, had this platform to speak. And if you have any questions,
we have 2 more topics. Misconception of love is coming from James Sanders, the one and only. And we have how to revitalize a relationship. You guys do not want to miss this, because revitalization means it's an awakening, right? It's a coming back alive. So y'all, if y'all want to come back alive, y'all don't want to miss the 2 next segments on Couch Talks, because it's gonna get deep, and some of y'all might even get married on the show. I don't know. We might open it up. But you guys want to stay tuned, and hopefully he comes back with that 4th topic that we was talking about in this Couch Talk tonight, because I just think it's another topic to kind of talk about, and let that, kind of germinate with you guys out there that are viewing this and hearing this, and hopefully you guys have something to take home, something to work with, but I really appreciate you. Thank you. You spoke very well. You got a lot of information. I've taken a lot of notes, because as I said, I'm learning. I'm still learning at 46. So you never can stop learning, period. So thank you so much, James. Thank you guys out there. Make sure you connect with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram. Give us some thumbs up, some likes. If you guys are dealing with certain things, you're here to get our perspective. Most definitely you're here to get James' perspective, because like he said, he's sharing some things that he went through and his experience, and just things he's observed from friends and colleagues and things of that nature. So, I enjoyed it. So thank you guys so much. Bye-bye. See you guys soon.
Thank you.